Now, do you find yourself looking at other companies in your industry and wondering, hey, how are those guys able to scale and grow their companies with what seems to be relative ease while you're over here struggling at more or less the same level for far too long? Well, this video is for you. I'm going to break down the 8 mistakes that the most successful companies are able to avoid in order to grow their businesses more effectively and easily. Now, real quick note, what I'm talking about is from the startup level, which is $0 in revenue up to $10 million in revenue. Once you're past the 10, the game changes. And some of the things I'm talking about, the most successful companies are well beyond that. But if you find yourself looking at a competitor or another company that you really admire, and you're wondering, hey, how are they able to get to $5 or $8 million? Then we're really going to break down the things that they were able to avoid or overcome to be able to get there. I'm Justin Shaw, the founder of Driven for Growth, and I've been helping trade pro companies to grow their businesses more easily and effectively since 2017. Now, in that time, the number of business owners that I've met that have been struggling to really get past what I call the survival stage, and that comes after startup, survival, and then successful, that have been stuck in the survival stage for years and years, far exceeds those that have broken through to the successful and then scaling stage. And so that's really what we're going to focus on here. Because as I talk to those business owners, they're really frustrated because they built a solid business, they do great work, and despite working a ton of hours, their businesses suck at the same level. They're not earning more money, the amount of money they want and that they deserve. And they often complain about the fact that they're stuck in the grind of running the day-to-day operations, doing things that annoy them and irritate them. And they don't really have time to focus on growing the business and doing the things that'll really move the needle. And they also talk about we really don't have a strategy or, we don't have an understanding of how to grow the business beyond just referrals and word of mouth. Now, they tell me that if they're not able to fix this, then they're really worried that they're going to be stuck at the same level, grinding day after day, and the business won't reach its full potential, and they're starting to feel like they're going to burn out. So what I want to help you and what we've helped our clients to do is avoid these traps that I'm going to share with you here so that you're going to be able to build a business by design versus by default and own your days so that you're able to work on growing the business and pay yourself what you deserve. And that should steadily increase over time. Now, when you're able to avoid these traps and pitfalls, you're going to be able to build a successful business with consistent revenue and really be able to focus on working on the things that you enjoy, right? The things that really light you up and where you can bring the most value to your company and your team. All right, let's dive into the 8 mistakes that I see that keep trade pros stuck at their current level and from growing their business. All right, number 1 is lacking a clear vision. This is often something that's just overlooked. And what we find is when we're working with our clients and program members, that's something that they've seen in the past as being like a little bit fluffy or, it's a line item on a business plan. They write down one sentence or paragraph. But I'm talking about really getting crystal clear on what we call your core vision. So in 3 years, what does the ideal state of the business look like? The financials, culture and team, the lifestyle that the business owner or founder is able to enjoy as a result of the business being built around your life versus you building your life around the business, right? And what does the sales and marketing look like? What's the impact the business is able to have on its community, its customers, team members, for example? And so when they do this, when they get really clear on the vision, they're able to ensure that they're going to head in the right direction. They've got a true north. They're not going to be so easily knocked off course or fall victim to shiny object syndrome where something pops up and they go chasing that and they really end up spinning the wheels and not able to get traction, right? So you need to have a clear vision for your business. Once you have that, you're able to then bring your current team into it and your future team members. And we find, and our clients and program members find, that when they do this, their team's on board. Their team knows, hey, this is where we're going. This is my role in this. This is the impact I can have. And everybody is heading in the same direction, making it a lot easier to get traction. And number two, biggest mistake that I see is not prioritizing sales. So I want you to take a minute to look at and just think about, well, how did this week go? Or if it's early in the week, how did last week go? How much time did we actually spend as a company on prospecting, on nurturing the deals in our pipeline, on following up and, getting in front of existing customers that potentially we haven't worked with in a little while to see how we can serve them and add more value, right? What often happens when a business goes from startup to what we call the survival stage is, you've been able to get a decent amount of consistent business, right? Either repeat customers through contractor, real estate agents, builders, for example, as well as referrals and organic word of mouth with homeowners. But outside of that, you're not really in control of generating anything new. You're relying on referrals and word of mouth. And so you default to putting service before sales, which is really, understandably making sure that you deliver on the promises you made, delivering on time and at a high quality. But the problem with that is you're not putting yourself first. And what happens is you end up building a business by default versus by design. You'll end up at the whims of your customers, whether that's, responding to their emails, putting out a fire, and day after day goes by, and you were never really intentional about taking the time to execute the activities that are necessary to hit the big targets and goals that you had in that clear vision that you set, right? So it's important to have a clear vision so that you can reverse engineer it, at least on the financial side, see what are the annual targets that you have. So if that's, let's say you're at 4.2 million and you want to hit 5 this year, then understanding that gap of that 800,000, breaking it down on a quarterly, monthly, and then weekly basis to understand what are the actions and activities that myself and my team need to take in order to make sure that we have control over our pipeline and our sales. All right. Now, number 3, biggest mistake that I see is hiring for capacity versus growth. And a book that we always send to our clients and program members when we first start working with them is by Dan Martell, and it's called Buy Back Your Time. And in it, Dan talks about the challenge that business owners face where they're really stuck in doing the various things that don't really relate to sales or results. And when they go to hire, they hire for capacity, whether that's hiring an additional salesperson because we're getting more walk-ins. We're hiring an additional installer or engineer. And while that's important, of course, there's certain people that have to sit in certain seats to help the business, fulfill on its delivery. We need to really think about also hiring for growth. And in that book, and I highly recommend you check it out, you need to, as a business owner, buy back your time. So removing the things that do not directly impact growth for the business or the results that the business really needs that are critical, and also getting the things off your plate that are the $15, $10 an hour tasks that you should be delegating to somebody else. And you should be consistently doing that and filling the extra time that you've afforded yourself to focus on the things that are really going to move the needle. Number 4, this, is debatable actually in which order these would go into because it's a big one. Not controlling your time or your focus. That's one of the main constraints that I see when we first start working with a client or a private program member is that they are just lacking time. It's the biggest constraint that when removed successfully, they're able to focus on the things that'll move the needle, right? So number 3 and number 4 really go hand in hand, right? So number 3, if you just have no bandwidth because you're stuck in doing things you shouldn't be doing, then you need to buy back your time. You then need to fill it with the things that are going to impact the business. But what we often see is there's no time management systems in place to ensure it'll be filled with the right tasks versus just being filled with whatever the business throws your way. We have our clients and program members go through something we call the perfect week. It was a book written by Craig Ballantyne, who I used to work with way back in 2005. Also a great read and something you should check out. But you need to very intentionally own your day. What are the things that you're going to focus on throughout the day and time block them? And really focus on the outcomes that you're going to create within each of those time blocks that you have, right? And of course, putting sales at the top. So for example, without proper time management, we can often default to rolling into the office, or worse, when you're still at home, open up your phone, check your email, and before you know it, you're at the whims of the business, your customers, your team members, and the whole day will go by. You never took time to focus on sales, new business development, getting into marketing, for example, and you just essentially do that over and over again like Groundhog Day. So getting control of your calendar, own your time or somebody else will, and making sure you prioritize sales, new business development, and the things that are going to help to grow the business. All right. Number 5, neglecting marketing. All right. So too many trade pro and contractor companies rely on referrals and word of mouth. There's this belief that if we do good work, if we make sure our clients are happy, we're going to be fine. Now, it's gotten you to where you are now. And, we're not going to argue with that as being what you need to focus on in the startup phase. Do great work, provide exceptional experience for your customers so that you can generate referrals, positive word of mouth, and reputation in your market. But in order to grow past startup and out of survival stage, you need to be able to have reasonable, as we always tell our program members and clients, reasonable control over customer acquisition. In order to do that, you have to focus on marketing. And if you work with B2B, contractors, builders, real estate agents, you need to focus on business development as well. You need to make sure that when you've set your clear vision, your goals, and you're prioritizing sales, you have an understanding of, well, what's the number of leads and opportunities we need to generate in any given month to ensure our pipeline has the coverage, which, just to give the quick description of that, the math is in our favor. The total value of the opportunities in our pipeline based on the conversion rate that we close at will give us the ability to hit our target. And we need marketing to provide that. Okay. Now, number 6 is most companies that are stuck in a place where they can't really grow is they have no true competitive advantage, right? They're lost in a sea of same in their market. There's no true differentiation that they have why a customer would choose them over somebody else, their competitor, other than potentially price, right? And you don't want to have people comparing you just on price, looking at 3 quotes and then just picking the lowest option. You need to have a true competitive advantage. And what needs to be focused on is, what are the real problems in our market? How can we become the solution in that market? And then communicate that through our marketing and business development communications, right? When we do that, it really amplifies and accelerates the results that we can get. Our Facebook, Instagram campaigns, our business development outreach, everything is made easier when we have a true competitive advantage. All right. Number 7, not acquiring the skills to advance. So a big challenge is that we're focused on, the what versus the who, right? So what do we need to succeed versus who do we need to succeed, both internally and externally. So we need to focus on, as the entrepreneur, as the business owner, what are the skills, capability, expertise that we need to acquire to be able to lead our company and team forward to the next level of growth. So not investing the time, energy, money in terms of acquiring the skills, knowledge, and capabilities really prevents business owners from being able to grow take their companies to the next level. So the 8th biggest mistake that I see is building your life around the business. And really what we should be trying to do is to have a business that works for us rather than the other way around, right? We should really be looking at what's the quality of life that we want to have? What's the lifestyle? How do we want to spend our days? How many hours do we want to make? What do we want to earn? How does this support our family and those that we love, right? Because often what I'll see is a company will want to grow to 5 million from the 4.2 we talked about earlier. They'll want to expand their team to 25 to 40. They'll want to move into a new location. But to what end, right? We've worked with and supported many companies back before we took a really holistic approach to what we do that just were focused on the financials or the expansion into new markets. And while we got there together, looking back, the business owner was like, wow, I really didn't actually want that. Now I have more headaches, more problems. I'm spending less time with my family. The money's great, but, I wish I had focused on really building a business that supports the lifestyle I want. And yes, it'll grow, but that needs to come first. All right. So real quick recap as we've gone through the 8 biggest mistakes here is if you focus on avoiding these things, the pitfalls that come from that, I promise you'll have an easier time and a faster time on your journey to growing your business. And if you've enjoyed this video, I recommend you subscribe so you get notifications when we drop the next episodes. I'm going to be sharing the strategies, systems, and playbooks that our clients and program members have used to build a successful and sustainable business. All right, until next time, guys, continue to be driven for growth, and I'll see you soon.